This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and we are not live today. Well, we're alive, but we're not recording live today. So you'll hear this in the future. But this is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it's time for What in the World with the infamous Paul Seaburn.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Karen, for that wonderful introduction. Infamous. I got a promotion from
Yes, yes.
indecent or I think one of those in words. All right. So yes, we are alive, but not live. And thank you for explaining that much better than I would have. If you're listening in the future, thank you for listening. This is What in the World, everybody's favorite weird news podcast. Real news, sometimes strange, always funny. That's our motto. I was just on a podcast as a guest yesterday, trying to explain what it is that we do. And I thought, to me, real news, sometimes strange, always funny, explains everything. Real news, funny stuff, always and usually strange. So, anyways, all of our regulars know what it is, and if you're a newcomer, you'll figure it out. Let's introduce everybody here. I am Paul Sieber, and I'm your host. I'm the editor and head writer at mysteriousuniverse.org, where a lot of you have found us. I'm also the author of What Would You Say to a Naked Space Alien? So check that out on Amazon. That would be great. Let's see what else. That's about it. The first voice you heard in your ear was Karen Hale, who is our co-host, producer, media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, which is our platform. Go to newclevelandradio.net, find out where to download us, and we're everywhere. So, you can find us on all the platforms, especially YouTube. Remember that, because we do have photos that go along with our stories. I try to explain them as best we can, but as always, it's always fun to take a look at the dumb photos that go along with the dumb stories. The other voice in your ear back after a 1 week hiatus is my old buddy John Dinello, our sports guy, color commentator, all around good guy. Hey, John, welcome back.
Oh, Paul, thanks again for the introduction. And Karen, good to be back. I really missed the show last week, but I understand it was another excellent show. So maybe we can do the same today.
Yeah, oh yeah, we will. And I know you'll do much better on Bluff the co-host this week than you did last week. So uh,
Well, I didn't have a chance to participate, so how could I not do better?
there you go.
Just
All
throwing
right,
it out there.
that's so we're in Northeast Ohio for those of you wondering where we're broadcasting from. And weather is hot here, but not as hot as in Texas, where I'll be heading in about a month. Our good buddy Mark down in Austin sent me a one of those weather things, a week in weather, and every day was high 102, low 75. So I don't miss that at all. I lived in that kind of weather long enough. I'm happy with the 85s that we get in Cleveland. So I hope you got good weather where you're at. Let's get right to the stories here. And then we've got some great stories this week. A new perfume for your dog. If you've got a dog, we got a dog story for you and some perfume for your dog. Also, story about chickens that blush and cats with 4 ears. So we're trying kind of covering all of the pet categories here: dogs, cats, and birds. I guess but isn't it weird that chickens are now pets? They're pets. They're hobbies. They're not just farm animals anymore. When did this happen?
And they
Maybe we'll
stink.
find out.
They
Pardon?
they stink.
Yeah.
Chicken smell. Ugh.
Before any further, I want to apologize to all of the chicken lovers out there. the, the comments of Karen are not those of what
Whatever.
whatever is right. Okay, yes, I agree with that. They do. I having visited my uncle's farm many times. Lady in England whose hobby has gone to pot. Oh, you'll love this one. Oh, John is back, so I saved up our Bigfoot stories from last week. So we got a
All
nice
right.
Bigfoot palooza here for John. I Bigfoot who has taken over a city in Wisconsin, another one hiding in a strange place in West Virginia. So maybe our buddy Brian will know about that. And a flying Bigfoot who should have upgraded to first class. So we'll find out why he was flying and why he should have upgraded to first class. Plus, more odd news. We've got world records. We've got trivia. John's got a great sport for us. And of course, we play Bluff the co-host everybody's favorite weird news show. So let's get weird news game. I'm sorry. Let's get right to it with our first story: perfume for dogs. Oh, I don't have dogs anymore, but I've owned a dog or two that could have used a little bit of perfume on certain days. Let's keep it that way. Excuse me. So, a company by the name of Dolce and Gabbana, which apparently is a well-known perfume company. I don't dabble in expensive perfumes. They've introduced a new line of perfume for dogs called Fifi. And while I'm thinking about it, I think I have a photo of the perfume and a dog as well. There we go. So there's a bottle of,
Oh,
isn't that a cute little puppy there?
yeah.
And the bottle, it looks like a regular perfume bottle, although it has a dog's paw on it. And it says Fifi. That's Fefe, not Fifi. So I think that means this is a male Fifi. And that's as far as we're going to go with that line of discussion. Um,
Good thinking, Paul. Good
so,
thinking there.
oh, John, thank you. It's good to be back. I missed those comments. Dolce and Gabbana says that that Fifi has, get ready, the warm notes of musk, sandalwood, and cananga tree. In other words, your dog smells like it rolled in a better class of mud and rotten leaves. That really, I don't even know what a cananga tree is.
Sure.
But
That's true there, Paul.
yeah, dogs, I guess dog would prefer to smell like toilet water. That's why their head is in the toilet all the time, I guess. You know what else is in perfume though is alcohol. Yeah, so if you thought your dog licked his crotch a lot before, spray some of this Fifi on it, and he'll be licking it a whole heck of a lot more now that he knows the alcohol. Um, I don't know what it smells. Maybe it smells like scotch and rotten wood. Uh, John, how much do you think this perfume sells for?
Oh, that's a great question, Paul. I'm going to say $250.
Wow. Oh, yeah. John has been watching The Price is Right, and knows that it pays to be higher than the actual price, right? If I'm not
That's right.
mistaken.
That's correct. That's correct.
So you are higher than the actual price. The actual retail price of Fifi is $108.
Oh,
$108
okay.
for that little bottle. Yeah. For that kind of money, your dog should smell like Snoop Dogg. Um, I mentioned him because every time I turn the TV on, Snoop Dogg is on the Olympics doing something. Um, but I know what Snoop Dogg smells like. Snoop Dogg smells like he just came from the vape room where they're doing all the drug testing over at the Olympics. I know he's involved with that somehow. I think he's the one who's testing the drug myself. But so whenever we talk about perfume, John and I always reminisce about the old days when we used to go to the drugstore to get to get the smells before we went out on a big date. Remember those days, John?
Paul, I remember them very well. I know we talk about it from time to time on the show, but yeah, of course, some of those fragrances we used to wear, like the High
Yeah.
Karate.
Oh,
It,
I got a couple for you. If Old Spice was,
oh, sure, sure, sure.
if you wanted to smell like a dog, you went with Old Spice, I think. Um, but now I've got a trivia question for you. Another perfume cologne we used to buy at the drugstore was Brute. Remember Brute? Came
Yes.
in a
Root, if I'm not mistaken, it was.
bottle. Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
I'm
what
sorry.
trivia question for you and for everybody out there playing along? What sports figure was well known for doing commercials for Brute?
I'm going to say Joe Namath.
Ooh, yeah, Karen, you did
That's
agree
that's who I was thinking of.
that's him, Joe Namath. There he is, right there, Joe Namath. There's
A
an ad
very
for he advertised everything for Brute. Cologne, aftershave, body spray, razor blades. I don't know what else he's got on this ad here. probably things that we can't mention on our podcast. And he used to advertise it with always, there was always a beautiful woman in there. What's her name? I can't remember her name now, from Charlie's Angels.
Farrah
Uh,
Fawcett.
Farrah Fawcett. Thank you, Karen. Yeah, I think she was one of the actresses.
Yep.
But I don't. I'll put Joe up here without a shirt on. But I don't want to play the titillation game with Farrah Fawcett. So, so Brute. We've got Brute. Let's see. What was the next one I wanted to ask you about? Oh, English leather. English leather. If you wanted to smell like a saddle, you wore English leather. Why would you want to smell like a saddle? And then here's my favorite is Aqua Velva. Now I know I bought Aqua Velva by mistake. There's a bottle of Aqua Velva here. They still sell it. Look at this. 100 years they've been selling Aqua Velva. For over 100 years, men have smelled like this. It's Karen. This is stinky stuff. Maybe chickens should come with a bottle of Aqua Velva.
But it firms and tones your face.
Yeah. I thought maybe they'd cancel the stinks out, but I looked up the words Aqua Velva, and aqua, of course, is Italian for water, right, John? Is that
That's correct.
That's right. Now, Velva, I didn't realize this. This is another language. Velva stands for you won't be able to wash the smell off with aqua. So that's what it. I couldn't find out what Velva smells like. It's probably the guy's name, the guy who invented it, Joe Velva. Anyway, so moving on. Moving on. Okay. So this is our pot story. So, but not the kind of pot that you're thinking about, not the Snoop Dogg pot. Lady by the name of Mary Jacobs from Newmarket, England, went to an auction house and tried to auction off her collection of, get ready, 163 bedpans from around the world and from all different times in history. She went to a reputable auction house and they agreed to auction them. She got no bidders, which to me, I think what she should have done is passed out free water to everybody who was at the auction and then locked the door. And once they had to go, they'd at least buy one, right, John?
Exactly. I agree, Paul, 100%.
So she started collecting. I wondered why would anyone collect bedpan? She liked to haunt, secondhand stores. And in 1984, so we're talking 40 years ago, she bought her first bedpan for 64 cents because she wanted to collect something that no one else collected. So she bought a bedpan. And then she kept on collecting them. Now she has 163 of them. She wants to get rid of them, and nobody wants them. I guess there's not that many bedpan collectors in the world. She said it snowballed when she started collecting. I don't know if snowball is the right word. I think piled up. That's what you.
Very good, Paul. Very good.
You can't even donate something like that to like Goodwill.
Not anymore. Yeah,
No.
You're right. Yeah, because they've been used obviously for I don't even want to say. I think everybody knows what they've been used for. But I was just wondering, if she goes to these places like these secondhand stores and garage sales, how long before they started calling her the crazy bedpan lady?
Absolutely.
That's what she's going to end up to be.
Sure.
Or hanging around outside the bed behind hospitals, at the garbage bin, going through there looking for bedpans that thrown out. Where else do you find them? And this was a reputable auction house, Bateman's of England, that held it. So I could just hear the auctioneer. Everything must go. I've been holding off to hold the.
You got to use it now, Paul.
There you go.
Oh, very good.
Everything must go. Then what's my bid for this fine collection of bedpans? Do I hear number one? Do I hear number? I have a one. Do I hear number two? I'm sure that's not the way it That's the way I would run the auction. So one more little bit of bedpan trivia. The bedpan actually dates back. I thought it dated back thousands of years, but the first reference to a bedpan was made in the 1700s, or I mean in the 1500s. So it's not 500 years old. It's not that old. And a museum in London, the Science Museum, actually has one of the oldest bedpans, close to the 1500s. Here it is, right there. Um, yeah, yeah, it's a weird looking thing. It almost looks like a marijuana pipe. For those of you who can't see it, it's got a weird looking. It's made out of clay, very pretty green. I'm not sure why they selected green for the color, but looks like a marijuana pipe. So if you happen to be at a secondhand store and you see something that looks like a very large green marijuana pipe, don't buy it. Um, it's not. It's it's
Yeah.
it's something else.
Yes.
Is that what you think it is?
Not what you think it is. Okay. So I didn't do this intentionally going from bedpans to Chipotle, but that's the way we're going here. Chipotle has teamed up with Wonder Skin. Now I've never heard of Wonder Skin. Karen, maybe you have. Wonder
No.
Skin make Chipotle's first ever beauty product. Why do you need a beauty product for Chipotle? I'm about to tell you. The They say that women like to have their lipstick survive multiple meals at Chipotle. So they've created, get ready, Lipotle, a burrito-proof lip stain that goes on guacamole green, and then you wipe off the green once it's set, and you have ruby red lips that are guaranteed to stay on for up to 3 meals at Chipotle.
Well, nothing surprises me these days. There's a market for everything, Paul and Karen, in audience. That's what I think.
So they said without smudging, so it won't smudge. Now I've eaten at Chipotle's, and John and I talk about this all the time. What we really need is a lip gloss for your shirt. So for guys, so so our shirts don't smudge after we drip the burrito or whatever it is we're eating on our shirt. I never thought of it for lip gloss. Karen, is that a problem
Not,
among women?
it's not important to me. You can always add lipstick. You know,
Yeah.
I
Well,
I don't
here's
get
my
it.
question, Karen. Who wears lipstick to Chipotle? Do you really? Last time I went there, they still have paper napkins and plastic forks. This isn't the place you get dressed up to go to. Not even on a date. John, that's a John's idea of a date. I don't think the lovely Annette gets dressed up when you take her to Chipotle, does she?
No, no, she does not. Definitely not. And it's I agree with you, Paul, on the type of place that it is. I mean, it's
But I,
reasonably good food, but I don't think you necessarily be dressed to the nines, so to speak, to go there.
but I do get dressed up when Rich takes me to Dairy Queen. I just want you guys to know it. I wear my Sunday finest.
Well,
Really?
maybe.
Wow.
Okay, maybe this would be good for Dairy Queen as well. But here's the thing: what do you, as Karen pointed out, do you really? Is it that hard to put lipstick on again? Who wants to be able to eat 3 times in a row at Chipotle? I mean, and I haven't been there for breakfast. I don't know if they have breakfast, but if they don't have breakfast, that means lunch, dinner, and then lunch the next day, all at Chipotle. That seems like an awful lot of Chipotle, and it seems
Yeah.
like a long time to go with your lipstick on. I I don't know. My idea, if you want your lips to be red when you go to Chipotle, order some salsa and rub your face in it.
Yeah,
It's got
well,
to
yeah,
be,
I guess that would serve a purpose, right?
yeah. It's got to be cheaper than this stuff from Chipotle, whatever the heck it's called. Okay, if you think that's bad, and I know you did, wait till you hear this one. Lululemon. Now I knew who Lululemon was. Lululemon are the tights people. So and yoga pants. Uh, they're responsible for everybody in Walmart looking like they're a human sausage. Yeah, old day you could go to Walmart and you didn't see sausages walking around everywhere. People wore normal clothes. Now they wear these tights all the time. Even the men are wearing tights. I don't know. So anyway, the Lululemon has has joined forces. Oh, so Lunamine came out with a new kind of tight called the breeze through leggings. I might have a picture of them here. These are breeze through leggings. Now, breeze through sounds unless you pass gas a lot, maybe it's a good idea to call them breeze through. But I was offended by the name right off the bat. But they pulled it not because of the name, but because the V-shaped stitching in the back, the seam, gives women an unflattering long butt. So women were complaining about getting a long butt. Now, John, I don't know if you remember, I think we saw long butt open for Thin Lizzy back in the day.
I think you're right, Paul. I think you're right. I think it was quite a concert, if I remember correctly.
That's right. Yeah. Long butt. Now, I thought long butt sounds to me like something that the Olympic gymnasts get, the women, from hanging upside down on those uneven bars. And you hang long enough, eventually your butt's going to get longer too. So I, or and once you have a long butt, the problem is that you can't twerk with a long butt. That's the problem. Uh, your butt starts twirling more like a propeller than whatever. Or even worse, it's like those 70-year-old strippers at the senior center that, John, you're always telling me about those.
No, wait a second. Wait a second, Paul. I'm gonna disavow any knowledge of any of this.
Poor John, but he comes back from a week off and he's just getting the abuse. No, John doesn't go to the senior center to see the strippers. He goes there for some other reason. To play bocce ball. I think that's what he goes there for. All right. If that's too embarrassing, and maybe it is, if it caused you to blush and you're a chicken watching the show, this is for you. Researchers in France have found out that chickens blush. And here's a picture of a chicken blushing. So on the left, we have a picture of a chicken's face with kind of a yellowish skin around its eye. And on the right-hand side, the skin suddenly turned red. Now, why would the chicken start to blush? Well, what they said was it's because they heard somebody talking about how nice their legs and thighs looked and their breast, and they just got embarrassed by it. I don't know. So these scientists are trying to figure out other reasons why these chickens blush so that they can learn about chicken emotions. Did you know that chickens had emotions? I didn't know that either.
No, I would say I was never really aware of that, Paul and Karen.
Yeah, they said that farmers are worried about the happiness of their flock, which I don't. I've known some farmers in my day, and they're not worried about their flock being happy. They're just worried about their flock getting to where they go to get turned into legs and breasts and thighs on time. That's all they care about. Yeah. So this sounds to me more like a study to sell to the people who are raising chickens in their backyard, because they'll buy anything, because it's their hobby and these are their pets. So they're, oh my God, my chicken's blushing. What am I going to do? So maybe they're blushing because of the size of their eggs. Did you ever think of that? Yeah. If your chicken is embarrassed by the size of eggs that they're laying, what you do is you go to the automotive store and you get one of those side view mirrors that makes objects in the mirror look bigger than they are, and put that in your chicken coop, and your chickens won't be embarrassed anymore. See, you get all kind of advice and help when you listen to it.
Sounds very plausible, Paul. Very plausible.
So, and why worry about the emotions of chicken? Chickens don't complain. Roosters are the ones who are always crowing about something, not chickens. And on that, I'll give you another pun alert there. All right, another animal story. Well, we got a bunch of animal stories this week. So this was an interesting one. This came from Mount Juliet, Tennessee, an animal rescue service in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. It's called True Rescue, and a good name for a rescue service. They received something that they had never seen before, a rare four-eared kitten with 4 ears, real cute little kitten, had 2 big ears in the normal place, and then 2 small ears growing on the inside of the 2 big ears, fully functioning according to the shelter workers. So they decided to name the cat Audio because it has 4 ears. It's, so,
Good
you know,
name.
yeah, but and it doesn't matter what you name this cat because cats never come when you call them anyway. So
That is true.
2 years, 4 years doesn't matter. The cat's not going to listen to you. Uh, now, I don't want to say anything bad about cats or cat owners because because of well everything that's going on about that because they hear everything you say about their cats. So um, I'll tell you what, I would like to have not a cat but a dog with 4 ears, specifically a beagle with 4 ears, because then I could take it on a walk, and on a windy day, it'd be like walking a kite. The wind would get caught in those big ears. Next thing you know, it's floating up in the sky. I think that'd be cool. Um, Except when they gotta go. But the other thing is, if they're up in the sky for a long walk, it's going to give them a long butt. And I don't think dogs like to have long butts. So, all
Good
right,
reference, Paul. Good reference there.
John. Yeah, good callback. John is back, so we've got some world records for you. This is this one's from Italy. So Matteo Pavoni is the guy's name. He broke the Guinness World Record for the most light aircraft pulled while walking on your hands. How many? So he pulled 3 small planes while walking on his hands. How many do you think he pulled, John?
Wow. I'm going to say 3.
No, 250. Now that was your guess from before.
Do you have any photos, Paul? Any photos here,
As a
hopefully?
matter of fact, I do, John, and you're absolutely right. He pulled 3 planes, one red, one yellow, and one green. Those are the colors of the Italian flag, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Red, white, and green. Red,
Oh,
white, and
wow.
green.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Close. I got one right. I got one right. So here he is. For those of you who can't see it, you really should look this up. This man is standing, is doing a handstand with a strap tied around, and he's going backwards. So he's walking backwards on his hands and pulling 3 planes that are tied together with the same strap. Um, Unbelievable. Spirit Airlines
That's
called him up.
astounding. Yeah.
Yeah, they call them up immediately because they could fire their entire ground crew and have this guy do everything on the ground. Direct the planes, pull them up to the gate, push them out of the gate. He's strong enough; he can do all that stuff.
Wow.
Um, I think, speaking of, since we're in the middle of the Summer Olympics, this should be an Olympic sport: Olympic plane pulling. I would watch that. I'd get up in the middle of the night and watch it live.
It's
Um,
certainly different, Paul. Let's say that.
or better yet, John, to make it more exciting, combine it with archery. So he would have to pull the planes across the field where they're shooting at the targets. They're shooting their
Wow.
arrows. He would have to dodge the arrows, and they would have to make sure they didn't hit any planes and hit the target instead. Is that an Olympic sport or not?
Well, it would take some doing to do that. So yeah, it's up to the committee. You have to submit it to the committee, I think.
There you go. That's right. Obviously, I thought about this way too long. Better yet, do it in the pool. So he has to pull the planes across the pool. So he's underwater. He's on his hands underwater, holding like the
Almost
synchronized.
impossible, Paul. It would be almost impossible, I think.
Yeah, I think I've gone too far. I've gone too far. Synchronized. In fact, I even was thinking he would have to dive off the 10-meter board first, but I think I've gone too far. Okay, another world record. This one's not quite as wild. Dave Bennett of Iowa broke the Guinness World Record when he grew an eggplant that weighs 8.33 pounds, 8 1/3 pounds. I've got a photo of Dave. For those of
Wow.
you who see it, that eggplant is larger than a bowling ball. Larger than a bowling ball. It's purple, obviously. Um, so 8.33 pounds. He actually has an entire garden full of these giant eggplants. But even the people at Guinness don't want any more free eggplants. So they said, no, Dave, we'll take the one the world record, but you can keep the rest of your eggplants. This is how the internet ruined life because I went looking up stories on eggplants, and all I'm getting are these memes making fun of of the eggplant, comparing it to a penis, which is the emoji that the kids are using these days. I'm sure the adults aren't using them, but the kids are using them if they want to say someone is a penis or the word that begins with D. They send them one of these eggplant emojis. John? Did you know that?
I did not, Paul. That's brand new news to me. That's for certain.
Yeah. You can't talk about eggplants anymore without people starting to laugh. They think that it's a penis joke. Um, and if it's a woman, the women equivalent of this, Karen, I don't know if you knew this, was a peach. So if there's an emoji and it has a peach in it, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're from Georgia. And in fact, the people in Georgia, yeah, they're all upset about it. They want to move now. The peach state, now it's got this dirty connotation to it. Where are they going to move? They have to be careful. Now they have to watch and see, what are the other vegetables from the other states. Ohio is the tomato state. I remember that. It'd be just your luck. You leave the peach state and you go to a state where the state vegetable is the cucumber, and you're back in the same problem all over again.
Oh, yeah, that's
So,
what it sounds like.
yeah. Speaking of cucumbers, police in Outagamie County, Wisconsin, had to close the on-ramp on I-41 after a semi truck spilled thousands of pickles onto the road. So the road is covered with pickles. They had to close it down and clean it up. They didn't relish the idea of
Oh, get the
Oh,
horn, Paul, for that one, please. Thank
picking up
you. Thank you.
cucamonga, yeah. But the highway workers assured the irate drivers waiting that this was a big deal.
oh,
I got a message from our friend Brian down in West Virginia, who really liked that one. Or should I say his name is Brian, not Brian, for this.
oh,
But his comment was, "I'm getting delirious from your jokes." So
oh.
Oh,
there's
there
one
you
for
go.
you.
Thank you for the horn again, Paul. Very good. On top of things, as usual.
One more for Brian. Good friend of the show. Good friend of the show. Okay, so John's been waiting patiently. I know because I let the cat out of the bag. I let the Bigfoot out of the bag. That I've got a bunch of Bigfoot stories. So let's get right to the Bigfoot stories for John here. First one. Another city has adopted Bigfoot as their mascot. And we've talked about these cities before. I'm not going to run through them because I don't need to plug them. I'm going to plug South Milwaukee. South Milwaukee, Wisconsin has selected Sam the Sasquatch from the Pacific Northwest as their new city mascot. There's a picture of Sam.
Oh,
Yeah, pretty cute looking guy. Very big, obviously. His feet are big. Um, he's got he's got fur all over him. So if you looked at him, you'd right off the bat you'd know he was a Bigfoot. So he is appearing in tourism ads for South Milwaukee, promoting it as a great place to live, work, eat, play, hike, and open a business. And in fact, in the promo for Sam, if you go to the South Milwaukee website, Sam Sasquatch says he's interested in becoming a hairdresser in South Milwaukee. Now, I don't know. He's got tangles and long stringy hair. I'm not sure that Bigfoot is a good walking advertisement for a hairdressing
I don't
Oh,
salon.
think
I
so.
agree with you, Paul. I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
So John, if you're using Bigfoot as your mascot, that means you want to be selling something. So they're selling. Here's a picture of the T-shirt. Bigfoot had one of the T-shirts on there before. So they have T-shirts, coffee mugs, and bumper stickers. Now I think this is Milwaukee, South Milwaukee, suburb of Milwaukee. So they should be selling Bigfoot beer of some sort or Sasquatch beer.
You would
And
think, sure. Yeah.
I've got a name for it too. We used to, John and I go back a long way. John, you remember when we were in college, we drank all the cheap beer. One of the cheapest beers was a brand by the name of Blatz. Remember
Of
Blatz?
course. How can you forget Blatz?
So I think that Sam the Sasquatch should sell a beer called Splats, and the motto should be Bigfoot sat on the hops himself. That's where the
That's all right. That's okay, Paul, actually. I think that's okay. I don't think
Okay,
you
I
have to
think,
use the horn on that one.
yeah, I think you should send the city that information.
I
Yeah,
think so. Maybe it'll become a sponsor. We could have
yeah,
Splat Beer as a new
yeah.
sponsor. Okay, I'll work on that one. All right. So now from the Rocky Mountain organization. Now we've talked about before. They're well known, legitimate Bigfoot researchers. I've used them as a reference at Mysterious Universe many times. So they have a Facebook page, and on their Facebook page this week was this question: is this helicopter transporting a Sasquatch? So what they have is a photo, and I'm going to put it up in a second here for John, a photo of a helicopter with a Bigfoot hanging underneath it. So there's the photo of a helicopter, which looked like it's lifting off the ground a giant Bigfoot, and there's a bunch of people on the ground looking at it. Poor Bigfoot is hanging upside down, which is why I said in our intro that Bigfoot should have upgraded to a first class seat on this helicopter instead of flying coach. Now I know John would like to see a better photo of this, so I have a second one here where they magnified Bigfoot, so you could see because a lot of people were saying, "Oh, that's not Bigfoot. That's a weird looking tree or something." But I defer to my friend John, who likes looking at these photos. John, what do you think? Did that look like a Bigfoot to you?
You know what? It very well could be a Bigfoot, Paul and Karen, an audience, because it appears that this creature has plenty of fur. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. I think now. What would you think that Bigfoot would be doing hanging upside down from a helicopter?
Oh, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. To be honest with you, I'm not sure.
I'm hoping he didn't get captured. My guess is that he's auditioning to be the next James Bond, and this is one of the stunts that he wants to do for the Bond movie. Yeah, wouldn't that be great? Bigfoot as James Bond. I don't know
Well,
what the
I would say it'd be different. I would say
be
it's
different. Or maybe Bigfoot or maybe this is an Uber delivery service. If you order a Bigfoot, we deliver your Bigfoot under 30 minutes or it's free. Um, the and if you've been watching the news today, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has already said that he did this with a Bigfoot and he left the Bigfoot in Central Park. So we don't like talking about politics, but that story about Robert F. Kennedy putting a dead bear in Central Park just blew me away.
Yeah.
Look it up. Look it up. All right, another Bigfoot story here for John. A lady by the name of Duffy Springfield. Good name. There was a singer by the name of Dusty Springfield, if I
Yep.
remember correctly.
right.
Yep.
Either one of you or anybody out there, do you remember Dusty Springfield's big hit?
I do remember the song, but the name of it doesn't come to me right now.
Doesn't come to you. I don't remember it either. I should have done some research on that
I'm
before I
gonna
asked.
look it up.
Look it up. Thank you, Karen. Okay. So the so she says she does photography. So she went hiking with her boyfriend in Panther, West Virginia. So this is for our buddy Brian again. She's up in the mountains. She does film photography, and her boyfriend and she were making a scrapbook of all the photos that they took. So one of the photos was this one right here, which is a pillar of some sort in a pillar of some sort in on the mountain. And I'm sorry, I just got a tornado warning on my phone
Yeah.
here.
So did
I
You
I.
get
got
that?
it also.
So she says, I do film photography. My boyfriend and I are hiking, and we saw this pillar. So we took a picture of it on the top of the mountain. Then she magnified it. And when she magnified it, John and Karen and everybody out there, she focused in on a little brown spot on the side of the pillar. And she said it looks like the fingers of a Bigfoot hanging on, hiding behind a pillar. I don't know, John, what do you think? Does that look like the hand of a Bigfoot behind a pillar?
It could be, but I'll tell you what, Paul and Karen and audience, I think that's a reach. No, I can't. I can't say that that's exactly what that is. I
Yeah,
cannot. Yeah.
it almost looks like a piece of mud, or maybe I don't think
Right.
it looks.
Yes. Yeah. Again, indiscernible. Again, as always.
Yeah. Now my question is, what's a pillar doing on the top of a mountain in West Virginia? Maybe Brian can answer that for us next time we hear from him. Um, you know, I don't even have an answer to that. But the girl, Duffy, is a student at Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana. So maybe she was there on spring break, and Bigfoot was there on spring break too. I don't know. Um, the You know how you can tell that Bigfoot's on spring break, by the way, because um, you can't tell when they're on spring break because they're never drinking beer and they're always naked. I blew that joke there, so let's move on. Last one came from North Carolina, and John, you're going to love this one. It was a game camera. It came from a game cam in North Carolina, not a game cock from North Carolina, which I thought was the mascot for North Carolina, but I was wrong, John. Who are the Gamecocks the mascot for?
Of the University of South Carolina, Paul.
South Carolina, that's right. And the mascot for North Carolina is the
Tar Heel.
Tar Heel. Oh, I knew John would get those. Okay, this lady is in North Carolina, these people are in North Carolina, and they have game cameras out to get pictures of deer and all kind of other animals. They found a rear view of a large, hairy creature. I'm going to put the picture up here. Before I describe it, the lovely Donna, my wife, said that it looked like me at the beach, which which is an image I'm sure you're never going to be able to get out of your head. But the photo, the caption says, this is Dog Man caught on a trail cam in North Carolina last night. And the reason why they said it was Dog Man and not Bigfoot, one is that you can't see the head. It looks like the head is looking down at the ground. It's not built quite like a Bigfoot, but if you look at the legs, the knees are not bent forward; they're bent backwards like a dog. So I don't know. I don't know what this could be. Maybe he's watching where he walks because he heard that John always gets upset when there's only one footprint. So he was trying to make sure that there were more than one footprint.
Very true, Paul. Very true.
So, John, you take a look at that photo there of a big hairy thing with no head and legs bent backwards. What do you think that is?
I don't know, but I have to agree with you. It's a big, hairy creature. It looks like a creature. Okay. And again, you can't even see his head. So it's anybody's guess, I would gather. I don't know.
This is a good one to look to check us out on YouTube and take a look at it. A lot
Sure.
of people that it was AI generated, or it took a couple of pictures and merged them together, maybe a bear and a dog or something. I don't know, but again, it was on all the Bigfoot sites. They're all carrying it and trying to figure out what it is. So if it's on the Bigfoot sites, it's on What in the World, because that's where most of you get your Bigfoot news and your Bigfoot analysis from John Donalo. But what you really tune in for from John is What in the World of Sports with John Donalo, which we missed last week. So John, I know, worked for 2 weeks on finding us another great sport, which I always challenge him, find us a sport that fits the theme, real sport, sometimes strange, always funny. John's got a great one for us this week. So John, why don't you get right to it? I've got your photos all lined up.
Oh, that sounds good, Paul. Thanks for the introduction. So the 2024 Summer Olympics, which are being held in Paris, France, unveiled some new sports this year. And our sport today is one that deserves to be considered for 2028. That sport is a mega ball. If you think soccer is too long and boring and needs more thrills and scoring, then Omega Ball may be the sport for you because it is soccer with 3 teams on the field at once.
Wow.
Let me explain. In Omega Ball, 3 teams with 5 players on each side, including a goalie, play simultaneously on a circular pitch that is 60 yards in diameter. And that picture, again, the photo that Paul has up displays that clearly. The
A
three
round,
goals,
it's a round field. I got to find a round field, but yeah, it looks good.
yeah, the three
Far.
goals, right. The three goals are evenly distributed along the perimeter of a circular playing field. The pitch has three, quote, dead ball, unquote, locations for corner kicks, one center spot, and three penalty arcs. There are no throw ins, no offside penalties, and cherry picking is allowed. That
Wow.
is where the goalie leaves the goal open and plays another position.
Oh, okay, okay.
Now, if two teams are tied at the end of regulation play, the two teams will participate in a penalty kick running shootout from the center circle. Should regulation time end with a three-way tie with all three teams, the game will continue for 5 minutes of overtime. During overtime, the first team to score two goals will win the match.
Wow.
Now, if all three teams are still tied at the end of overtime, a golden goal or first to score or a first to score will win the game.
Oh,
The
kind of like
two,
a yeah.
yeah, the two tied teams that did not win the game will face each other in a shootout for second and third place. Now, you may wonder how the sport originated. A mega ball was created by Anthony Dintman, excuse me, and two other former ESPN colleagues whose goal, no pun intended, was to remove the rules and rethink the linear nature of soccer. The addition of a third team created even more action, and a mega ball was born.
Well, I want to stop a second, John. We're looking at these photos here. It looks like regular soccer. I mean, these people are running, they're kicking,
Yes,
um, except there's people with three different colored uniforms all converging on the ball at once. It looks like chaos, but I'm sure it's not. And it's both men and women. So
yes, it
looks
is. Yes, that is
to be
correct. It's co-ed. So now the inaugural Omega Ball Championships were broadcast on television on Fox Sports 2, and games can now be seen on ESPN. Now, in closing, Omega Ball sounds like the perfect Olympic sport, and adding a third player or team could spice up some other sports too. Imagine Omega water polo or Omega fencing, but don't expect all of the sports to go Omega. That would turn the Olympics into a three-ring circus.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Had
You
to
don't want
say
to.
it.
it's the
Had to say it,
horn.
Karen. Had to say it. Good
John heard the
results. Good
on that
results.
one.
Love it.
Omega. I have to admit, this is a cool sport. I have to admit, I stumbled upon Omega Ball one time when I was watching ESPN when I was going through, the hundreds of sports offerings on ESPN, and I happened to find a game that looked really weird, and that was Omega Ball. So I didn't know any of this stuff though. I just thought, a bunch of people they had three teams and they didn't have a fourth, so they wanted to play.
Right.
I
Well,
think this.
as you mentioned, Paul, or as it was indicated, you're getting away from the linear concept of soccer, which is really what soccer's been for a long period of time. On
Wow.
a circular field, it's completely different.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. All right. Well, as I said, I've seen Omega Ball one time on while I was looking at ESPN. But the more I thought about it, um, although John and I don't think we've ever played Omega Ball or anything like it. I do remember us trying to come up with new sports for the Olympics back when we were in college in the fraternity. Do you remember being challenged to come up with new Olympic sports?
I don't, Paul. Hope you can refresh my memory on this?
Well, good. Of course, I have a photo as well. So John and I were in a fraternity together, and when we were the young guys, the old guys always took advantage of us. So one time they told us that we were challenged by another fraternity to come up with uh, new Olympic sports. So the old guys came up with this sport, and they of course recruited John and myself to be the players on this sport. They took a small sport and made it much larger. And the sport that they took was foosball, and the sport that they came up with human foosball. So they had John and me attached to poles in a giant foosball uh, contraption, which they worked the poles, and somehow we kicked balls back and forth. And I don't remember if we won or lost, John, but
I can't either, Paul, really, even though I remember this now because it was quite a feat at that time, if you recall.
That's right. We learned not to volunteer for the old guys.
Not after this kind of experience.
Yeah. So, all right, John, great sport. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
And bringing back the memory of foosball there. Human foosball coming to the Olympics soon. All right, so I think that's the end of What in the World of Sports, which means it's time for everybody's favorite weird news game show, Bluff the co-host. So Bluff the co-host, real easy to play. I've got 3 stories similar to the ones we've been talking about all afternoon. One big difference, and that is that those stories were real. These stories may be real, may be a bluff, and it's up to John, Karen, and those of you playing at home, listening to the podcast, to decide real or bluff. Wagering is allowed, so place your bets. John and Karen, put your hands on the buzzer. Let's get right to story number 1. Disneyland is not a country, but it does have one athlete in the Summer Olympics. If you watch the skateboarding competitions, you may hear the announcers talk about Goofy, Mickey's dog friend with the turtleneck and vest. While skateboarders ride with their left foot forward, Goofy appeared in an early cartoon riding a surfboard with his right foot forward. And that awkward position is now called the Goofy stance. What is really goofy is that Goofy was surfing while wearing shoes, which hasn't caught on with Olympic surfers who think it's more of a Mickey Mouse maneuver. Okay, so in the Olympics, skateboarders are actually doing a move they learned from a Disney cartoon from Goofy, who put his feet on a surfboard the wrong way. Real or bluff? Karen, we'll start with you.
This almost sounds real. And I didn't have a great track record last week, so I'm going to say it's real.
All right,
before
Karen,
the storm hits.
All right, John, what do you say? Real or bluff?
In a way it could be real, but I'm going to say it's a bluff. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
John says it's a bluff. John had 2 weeks off here to prepare for the show, for the game. So John confidently says it's a bluff. Karen's looking out the window at the.
It is bad. It's bad.
Okay, we'll finish up quick here. Let's check what the judges. The judges say, congratulations, Karen. That is a real story. Everybody out there, look up Goofy on a surfboard, and you'll see Goofy.
Wow.
And it will also be in your on the Olympics. Okay.
Wow, I stand corrected on that one. Wow.
All right, John. Okay, story number 2. Jim Carrey is the actor most associated with farting in movies after starring in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. But actress Demi Moore wants to be known as the celebrity who makes farting normal. Demi Moore has teamed up with a company that makes digestive aids for gut health to help adults accept the fact that everyone farts and that's okay. Moore's movies sound like a tribute to farting. She was in St. Elmo's Fire, Blame It on Rio, Indecent Proposal, and About Last Night. But she's dead serious about taking the stink out of farting. You'll know how her program is working if any other actors at the next Academy Awards ceremony actually sit at her table. Okay, so actress Demi Moore is working on making farting normal for adults. Real or bluff? John, we'll start with you.
Paul and Karen, I'll tell you, I think this is a bluff. I mean, I don't see this as being like a valid subject that Demi Moore would be involved in. I don't think it's true. I think it's a bluff.
Are you a Demi Moore fan?
Yeah, oh yeah, she's pretty and she's a good actress. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. All right. So John says it's a bluff. Karen, how about you?
Well, I hope it's a bluff because, enough adults do it, but let's not normalize it.
That's good logic. Let's not normalize farting.
Good
Okay.
comment, Karen, on that. Good comment.
Both Karen and John say that story is a bluff. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say, I've got bad news for both of you. Demi Moore is promoting farting.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Who would have
Yeah.
thought that? Well,
Oh,
I guess you learn something every day, Paul.
I guess, yeah.
What do you think,
we
Karen?
have a podcast. Yeah.
Right.
Uh,
Oh.
in the world of farts. No, she can't use that one because we're going to use that. Okay. All right. So, score is still 1-0. Karen is in the lead. Let's get this story number 3. If you pull into the driveway and get a sudden urge to pee, is there a theme here? If you pull into the driveway and get a sudden urge to pee, you're in good company. A new study found that so many people come home and have to run to the bathroom that they've given this condition a name, latchkey incontinence. According to these scientists, your brain subconsciously tells you to ignore the urge while you're traveling, but it's so exhausted by the time you open the door that it gives up and leaves you on your own to run to the bathroom before it's too late. Latchkey incontinence can afflict anyone, but the only cures are behavioral or anxiety therapy. Does the therapy work? According to the study, it depends. Okay.
Oh, oh,
That urge that everyone seems to get when you come home and have to run to the bathroom is a real condition known as latchkey incontinence that had its own study. Real or bluff? We'll start with Karen.
I believe it's real. I don't believe the name is real, but I believe the condition is real.
The condition is real. Okay, Karen says it's real. John, how about you?
I agree with Karen on this. I'm going to say that it's real.
Real story, real condition. Check with the judges, and the judges say it's also a real name. Latchkey incontinence is the name for that urge you feel when you come home and have to run to the bathroom. How about that? That was 3 real stories that I found that were so unusual, I couldn't make them any funnier than they already were.
You're right, Paul. Hey, congratulations, Karen, for another victory.
Thank you.
Yeah, Karen won 2 weeks in a row here. Last week was against
Doesn't really count.
Yeah, but this week was against the real John. So congratulations, Karen. Congratulations to anybody out there who got any or all of those right. We've reached the end of another episode of What in the World. I want to thank Karen Hale, our media mogul, our producer, our co-host, all-around fun person. Thank you for everything you do for our show and also for all the other podcasts at newclevelandradio.net. Everybody out there, visit the site. Check out all the great podcasts. Also, check out Yes I Can Coaching with Karen. Karen is a great coach. She's also our sponsor. So check that out as well. You don't need to go anyplace else. Just go to newclevelandradio.net.
Right.
I also want to thank my old buddy John Donalo. I'm glad he's back. Good to see him again. Looking forward to, I know John's going to study all this week because he wants to win next week. I'm Bluff the co-host. So John, thanks again for being back.
Oh, you're welcome, Paul and Karen. It was great to be back, and looking forward to some great shows in the future.
That's right. Yeah. And hopefully all of you will join us. And you're the reason why we do the show every week. We hope you have as much fun listening to What in the World as we do putting it on. That's the reason why we do it. So without further ado, I mentioned that we've got a big storm coming in here. So I think all of us want to get off the air and get down in the basement and hide. So that's what we're going to do. Till next week on What in the World, we'll hopefully we'll still be here. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Good week, everyone. Take care.